And on this episode of Empowering Her, I have special guest Heidi Oliver. Heidi, thank you so much for coming on to just share your path and your experience with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today.
All right. So let's talk about what your current role is. And, the best part of this is that, hearing about the backstories. So what were you doing before? What led you to where you are now?
Okay, so my current role, I am a customer success director. And what that means is really I am the manager director over an entire team, an entire region of customer success managers. And so within my team, I have 12 customer success managers that cover multiple states in the entire Northeast United States. So in my role, I really have to do hiring for my team, management of all things customer success within that team. And so I absolutely love it. I've only been in this director role since November, December-ish, officially January is kind of when title changed. So I'm very new at the director role, but it's super exciting, and I've learned a lot just in a few short months. So how I got there, I went out of high school straight to college, got my degree in elementary education, and wanted to be a teacher so bad. Loved my teachers, wanted to be just like them and impact the lives of students. And so I went into teaching. I taught elementary school first grade for 10 years. And I finally became a little bit more interested in growing in my career. Loved teaching, still loved my students, still loved my colleagues, still loved all the things about teaching, but I wanted to kind of venture out and see what was out there. I never had any desire to be an elementary principal or anything in administration within a district. And so I wanted to see what else was available. I started applying, cleaned up my resume, started applying at ed tech companies, many ed tech companies. I was very fortunate to get the interview with Imagine Learning, which I had also used in my classroom as a classroom teacher. And so I felt in the interview like I already knew a lot of the answers. And so that role that I interviewed for was for customer success manager. I will be very honest, I did not know a lot of details about the customer success manager role when I interviewed for that. And I wish I would have researched a little more and known a little more to be able to respond in that interview. But I did get the job. And so I was a customer success manager for 4 years before this promotion to director of customer success. And within that customer success manager role, I really figured out all of the ins and outs of customer success and how I could help our customers in the state that I live in, which I live in Oklahoma, and I cover the state of Oklahoma for this. So I was an Oklahoma elementary teacher, and I really still work with districts all across the state of Oklahoma for their implementations. So as that customer success manager, I formed some great relationships and had great experience to help me with that promotion.
That's awesome. Love the story because I can relate on a lot of levels. Um, let's break down customer success because customer success, my understanding is it's relatively new, and it's not one that a lot of it's one of those careers that when you're in high school and they do careers day, like nobody tells you about customer success. So customer success tends to be like one of those roles that you find out later in life. But what might like an average day look like for a customer success manager?
All right. So, first off, I want to mention that sometimes there will be companies that have customer success, but they might call it something a little different. So, for example, in our company, we had a change for a couple of years and we went from customer success to education success manager. Still, it was all customer success manager. So, you might find that there's other companies that use maybe a little different title for it, but overall, it's customer success manager. And you're right, it's a very fairly new role for companies, and they have really found out the value of customer success managers. So in a typical day, really what we're responsible for is really our customers in making sure that they have that one connection within our company after they've purchased that product that they are getting. So a typical day, I'm going to kind of start with the typical implementation first. So let's say we have a school district that comes in and they purchase our product, and they want our product for maybe a certain population of students. Maybe it is all struggling readers in their elementary school. And so they want a solution to help their teachers help their students. So they've purchased from our sales side. And once they make that purchase, then we as customer success managers, we come in, now it's mostly virtual. So we would have a virtual meeting that we call a customer success planning meeting. And in that meeting, we get a lot of details about the implementation. So we want to know main contact information, email information. How are you going to roster students? When are students going to get on the program? How are they going to get their time recommendation throughout the week? How are teachers going to monitor that and make sure that they're on there? Who's going to monitor reporting? All kinds of details. When are we going to do benchmarks? When, all the things. And so we create this plan that we call the plan for success. And in that plan, there's a lot of Q&A. There's a lot of back and forth talking with our customer to make sure that the plan is just right for the building or for the district for their implementation. At that time, then we meet with, or we have involved the IT department in the district. And so we want to make sure that we can be accessed on the devices, that we do have all of the secure features that the district is requesting. And so we partner with our IT department. They partner together and they answer all of the IT type questions. Then after that, we establish a training plan. So of course, once they purchase a program, we don't want them to just throw it at their teachers. We want to make sure as customer success managers that they provide the training they need for their teachers. So we help create that training plan. We get that training scheduled with our PD department, which is our professional development department. And then they will go in probably virtually, sometimes on site, and make sure that the teachers are trained on the program products that they are purchasing. And so we have launch dates. We want to make sure that the district meets all of their goals and is able to get kids on before that launch date. And so as a customer success manager, we are constantly in contact with that main communication person at the district to meet those goals and milestones that we have set and to make sure they have the information they need and that we are getting the information we need in turn to get their program up and going in the district. After they've been up and going and students are using, now as a customer success manager, my job is to monitor the health of their accounts, the usage, the data, dig in. It's to still remain in contact with those site experts or contact experts in the district and to get them any kind of new information that they need, get them any new trainings that they need, program updates, through emails, through videos. Sometimes I make videos. And then also to be sure that they have additional training. So if they're needing training, let's get that scheduled. And so we would reach out to them at that point. Then we go into mid-year. So mid-year, we want to make sure we schedule a mid-year report with them. So we're going to go mid-year report meeting. So we'll go in and schedule a mid-year report meeting, go through all mid-year data and, adjust that plan if we need to. Students are not using enough. What can we do at Imagine Learning to help kids get on more? And so we'll help them strategically plan when is a good time. How can we get teachers to buy in? And then we do the same thing at end of year meeting. So end of year, we'll go over the data for the entire school year and we'll talk summer school. If they need to use us in summer school implementation, what's available? How do we do all of the steps and implement that way? I do a lot of, in the morning, my normal day is get up, look at the emails, respond to emails, and then I'm on meetings a lot. As a director, our customer success managers are also on meetings. So they have meetings with district administrators, building administrators, curriculum directors. We are not at teacher level. So we do not integrate with teachers at all. It's really district admin, building admin level. And then we want those administrators to have like a site expert is what we call it. And those site experts help implement the program. And that could be an instructional coach. It could be a teacher that's just a pro expert at the program. And we want them as that site expert. And there's times that, yes, we will communicate with the site expert or we'll work directly with them because we know our administrators, their plates are full, their schedules are full. They can't always get in contact with us. So lots of emails, lots of online Zoom meetings. I used to travel with the pandemic. We no longer travel. So everything is virtual. Everything is online meetings. But just here to really support and not support like customer support issues, but we will help get them to the right people when they're having technical issues or program issues, that sort of thing. But really our main goal is program implementation and making sure that the customer is satisfied, has goals set, is successful, and then that the renewal comes in. I would have never, ever been in school and said, hey, I want to go to college to be a customer success manager. That just really is not you're right. It's not something that kids or young adults think of as like this is a great
Right.
career. It's something that as a teacher I stumbled across, and it really is a good fit for educators to move into that role.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of at least like stumbling into it. Every recruiter I've talked to has said, I didn't even know recruiting was a career field. It just kind of fell in my lap. And so some of these careers are very, very interesting. And I think there's so many of them, which is kind of the priority of this. Like, why
Absolutely.
was this program not around when I was, when I was going to school? Just to, because I've met some salespeople that are young and making a lot of money, and they just happen to, stumble across it when it was younger. How many, just out of curiosity, for a customer success manager, how many accounts will they typically have at a time?
It really varies by revenue. So it really varies by ARR. We can have some that are carrying 4 million worth of ARR. We can have some that are carrying 1 million, some that are carrying 500,000. We don't really sort them out by accounts. In our
Mm,
company, we sort them by they are assigned a customer success manager with a sales person. And so no matter
okay.
where they're at and no matter how much revenue they have, it's one to one. So we have a sales rep and a customer success manager, and then whatever their territory is, then that's just what they cover. So for me, for example, I have New York, which is an entire, an entire beast area itself, but we have all the boroughs. So I have a salesperson for Manhattan. I have a CSM in Manhattan. I have one for Brooklyn. I have a CSM in Brooklyn. I have one for the Bronx. I have a CSM in the Bronx. So I have a ton up there in that area, but it's because there's so many within each of those areas. To where, like in Oklahoma, we have a salesperson that does kind of our secondary, and we have a CSM with that person, and then we have a salesperson that does our elementary, and we have a CSM with
Okay.
that person. So there's only two in
Okay.
Oklahoma, where some states there's many.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And that would make sense because in some states you just have so many more districts and so many more schools.
Right.
What kind of person would really enjoy doing customer success manager as far as, soft skills? What do you look for when you hire somebody that you know will be successful in the role?
So it really needs to be someone that's very organized, very self-driven, and self-motivated to get tasks done on their own. So there's not a daily agenda or schedule for what you need to be doing. Really, you have to drive yourself to manage that and to create your daily activities and what that looks like. In our company, because we're ed tech, I really look for educators that are experienced and can talk educator talk with administrators. So an educator that is, has been either like an instructional coach, a reading coach, a specialist, not necessarily administrators at all, but administration is great experience. Our customers love when we can go to them and say, I'm a former teacher. I get this. I understand this. And so that's really what I look for when I'm hiring. I typically don't go outside anyone that has not been in education for even interviews with this role because it's so important.
It's interesting you said that, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Carrie Conover, but she did customer success and implementation for a while. So she would travel with a salesperson. They would go to the district, and the salesperson would be going over the software, the product, and Carrie said you could just see the teachers. They'd be on their phones. They'd just be not paying attention. And as soon as she had taught for years, and so as soon as it was her turn to talk, she goes, "My name is Carrie. I taught for 12 years," and everybody like put their phones down and started paying attention because they were like, "Oh, this
Oh,
person
yeah.
walked in our shoes." So it's interesting that you say that because it's almost like you build that street cred. Because at least, especially in education, like we're thrown so many. Like 2 years ago, we got thrown 4 new programs we had to learn about 30 days before school started, and we were telling the administrators like, "Hey, we need some help," and the administrators were like, "The district just told us that we purchased these, so sorry, we are learning these ourselves." So the onboarding process was a little like messed up, but it was kind of a crazy kind of learning cycle for that one. um, as far as, let's
Sure.
talk salary, and what would be like and I know it could vary between ed tech and the startup and a corporate and everything like that, but what would an average salary look like for somebody starting into customer success and kind of moving up towards kind of the, the manager or the director level?
Okay. So customer success managers, right now, typically like starting is about 67,500. And so that's typically for our ed tech, that's kind of the starting point. And so then there, of course, there's a range of, all of the other things we can consider, right? So within that range, I would say that range is probably anywhere from 20 to 30 sliding scale above that, 20 to 30,000 above that 67 within that sliding scale. I also want to make it known that in every company may be different, but in our company, there is an opportunity for a bonus. And so that is a bonus that is a yearly bonus that, as long as you're doing your job, you're working hard, your renewals come in, then you are rewarded for that. And so that's really an additional on top of your salary that you would receive that bonus. As you move up into the leadership director roles, you're looking at a customer success director being anywhere from about 100 grand to about 150,000 a year. And also on top of that, you also have bonuses as well. So typically those bonuses come when your territory or your team meets their goals and at the year end. And then, of course, that's December 31st. And then, of course, we always receive those towards the start of the year. So it's a great opportunity. As a former educator, those numbers were never in reach ever. And so when you start talking about that and teachers hear that, their eyes light up and they're like, what? Like they had no idea. I mean, I'm just a teacher with a bachelor's degree. I don't even have a master's. And so, that's really exciting that there are companies that value our knowledge and that value what we do. And in turn, they pay you for that so that you can provide for your families.
Yeah, I was speaking with my friend Dominic. He's over at Instructure, and we were kind of chatting about that. He started talking about, he just gotten his yearly bonus, and I was like, well, that's cool. I go, and also like they give, a bump in salary, kind of a cost of living raise and stuff.
Yes,
And I
we do
go,
get that. I didn't mention that, but that's yearly as well.
and that's what I go, what's, just out of curiosity, what's your bonus? And when he told me, I about fell out of my chair. I was like, that's almost my salary. What? That's not a bonus. That's a salary, especially in Oklahoma.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I get it. Yeah. And he's right. And that's, it's crazy to think like that, but he's absolutely correct. And you're as an educator in Oklahoma, you're thinking, who does that? Like, how do
Right.
you get that? And it's
Right.
reality.
So let's talk about maybe what is something you absolutely love about customer success, and what is something maybe that you found challenging or frustrating?
So one thing I absolutely love is the fact that I still get to make an impact on students from a high level, right? So students were my passion. That's why I went to college to be a teacher. Although I'm not directly in a classroom impacting students, I'm helping people that are getting solutions to help students. And so ultimately, that is still what drives me and my passion. I feel like in the company I'm in, I fully believe in all of our products, and I believe that they are great for students. And so that is my passion and belief there. I love just being able to talk to administrators and help them solve problems, right? I'm constantly solving problems every single day. Even as a director, I'm helping my CSMs, customer success managers, solve problems with their districts. And so it's always problem solving, which I love to do. So that's another exciting piece that I love. Something that's been really challenging was transitioning from really leaving the home to work to fully remote. And so it's really difficult. You have to be organized, you have to be structured, and you have to plan out your day to where you know exactly what you're doing and when you're doing it, because you are in your home environment and everything around you is still going on. My kids, had a hard time accepting that, like, mom's at work. I'm still
Right.
working. Like I'm not, here just hanging out in my office. Like I have to work. And so that was one of the hardest things. And not that I don't like that about my job. There's nothing really that I don't like about this job at all. I love all the things, but that was one of the most challenging.
I love it. I love it. And I always laugh because my neighbor, he works for a telecommunications company, and they went remote. And at first, he is like, "This is gonna be the greatest thing ever. I don't have to drive." And I was really envious because from where I'm at, Guthrie's about a 40-minute drive, but you know. And then the 40 minutes back, and he so anyway, and then I asked him, I go, well, how is it? And he goes, well, they had to start implementing like a morning meeting for everybody because everybody was getting like lonely and kind of sad, and everybody was starting to get, he's like, the longer I stayed inside remote, not really talking to people, because he was doing like spreadsheets and documents, so he wasn't really getting any
Mhm.
human interaction. He's like, I didn't even want to leave my house. I was getting really, really. So
Yeah.
they had to implement those meetings. He thought it was going to be amazing. But so I'm glad you mentioned that, because like a lot of my students think that working from home would be a dream, and in some cases it absolutely can.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
but there are some downsides to it that you do have to be realistic about it. And
Sure.
so for customer success, and again, this may be different from industry, do those tend to be, especially now, do those tend to be remote roles, and do you think that they will stay remote?
I think that they typically all will be remote, and I think that they will probably stay remote. I know within our company, we are staying remote 100%. There are a few exceptions where a CSM would be allowed to travel with the sales partner for maybe a high stakes meeting, but it is pretty much 100% remote.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk for a second about mentors and mentorship. So, in your opinion, how important are mentors, and what do you consider mentorship?
Oh, absolutely. I think mentorship is important on multiple levels. On a personal mentor in your life as you're growing and becoming an adult per se, like having children in your marriage. There's mentorships that are so important across the board for all those things, whether it's your faith based or it's your family, to have someone to lean on and to help you through those situations and to guide you with values and choices. Within our company, mentorship, as far as in your career, is also very, very important. One thing in our company that we do is when you're hired on, we partner you immediately with a mentor. And that meant, we have a mentor program that they're people that we have found to be good people and good mentors within our company. And so we will assign you to one of those mentors in the company to help you with all things professionally, not just your role, but to grow in your role and to grow in your career. Not that we want you ever to leave our company, but we want you to be able to learn all the things and to be able to grow in your career as you can. And so that's really important. But I value mentors. I've had some great mentors in my life that have helped me through things. In college to become a teacher, one of my mentors was the teacher I student taught with, who was actually an elementary teacher of mine. And then she had been a mentor that whole time until I even went on to student teach with her. And so it's so important to find someone that is a good human, a good person with great values that you can really lean into and learn and grow from, whether it be your personal life, your faith-based life, your professional life, whatever it is, to help you grow and learn.
I love that, and I don't think I've had anybody that hasn't said. In fact, nobody's said. Everybody has like echoed that how important that mentorship is, because it really can kind of lead you down a really good path, and also depending on how good the mentor is, sometimes they'll hold you accountable for when you're not doing what you need to do. So, okay,
Absolutely.
so I have a hot seat question for you.
Okay.
And your answer doesn't have to be related to career or education. It can be about anything you want. Knowing what you know now, what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself back in like middle school or high school?
Oh my goodness. So I would say to always be open minded, to
Okay.
always be forward thinking, and to never think that you can only accomplish one thing and be there. I knew from elementary school I wanted to be an elementary teacher. I knew that it was in my heart. I wanted to help kids, but sometimes that changes. And so I had to have that open mindset of I'm not going to always be that person. And as I grew and as I became, an older adult and I became more advanced in my professional career, I had to have that open mindset of that. So I think just knowing that, to have that, and then also that we're all going to make mistakes. I have made the most of them. And so, those mistakes do not identify you. And so I think making sure that we understand that sometimes mistakes are the only way we can grow. The only way we can grow personally and the only way we can grow professionally is by some of those mistakes. And so I think it's important just to have grace with yourself and to believe in yourself to do those things.
I love it. That's amazing. And I I envy people that can do elementary. I did. I came from the high school and did 1 year of elementary. I was worn out every single day because those kids, like, you have to be so
Oh, yeah.
high energy. And what was fun, and I was teaching like English and creative writing to like these gifted and talented kids, but I was also certified PE, and so we had these budget cutbacks, and so I ended up, because I didn't have the seniority over the other anyway. So I my buddy Ron, he said, "Oh, just you should be an elementary PE teacher. You're already certified in it. It's easy. It'll be fun. The kids will love you. Just play all day." And I'm like, oh, "Well, that sounds great. Okay." And those kids, especially like kindergarten, pre-K, first grade, I was like, I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm so tired. There's
Yes.
so much energy.
And I mean, by the end of the day, I was exhausted. And if you
Yeah,
don't have every minute planned out with those littles, I
yeah,
mean, oh my goodness, you have to have every minute, every center, every paper ready to go, or they will eat your lunch.
yeah. I would, I had a lot more of kind of after school activities that I had to take care of with coaching in the high school kids. But man, when I crawled out of elementary school because it was just so physically exhausting, I was like, I'm going back to like I'm going back to the bigger kids. But
Wow.
yeah. So again, I thank you so much, because I know especially my girls, they, quite a few of them commented like, I guess I'll go to college to become a nurse because I don't know, they make decent money. And, first of all, there's a couple of professions, nursing and teaching, that you should not go into if it's not something that you just absolutely want to do, because
Right.
you'll burn out real fast. And so, I thought to myself, I was like, there's and the other thing that which I like kind of blew my mind was, there were several of them that said they didn't feel like they would be able to be successful outside of certain professions because women are not taken seriously. And I was like,
Hmm.
women are definitely underrepresented in tech and in different
Absolutely.
areas, so we need them. But there are so many, especially on LinkedIn, that are VPs and presidents and CEOs and stuff. And I thought, you know what? Here's an opportunity to really kind of showcase, empower the students so they could go, well, wow, there's all these like cool careers out here, and there's all these women that are making a great living, and they're being in charge. And so it's I thought, hey, let's let's empower the kids.
Absolutely. Well, I love it. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing for kids in our state, Oklahoma. I mean, I'm proud to be an Oklahoman, and I still am proud to support our schools, although I'm not directly in the schools any longer, but I'm still 100% supportive of our Oklahoma students. So, best of luck to all of
Thank you.
them. And thank you for allowing me to be on today to share just a little bit about what I do.
Well, Heidi, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll chat very, very soon.
You're welcome. Best of luck with everything. Talk to you soon.
Okay.